For the next hour, you belong to us. We'll bring you the very best in hand-picked, unsigned rock and metal. Don't worry, you're in safe hands. We are two bucks.
There you are, rock monsters. Bad news! This is awful. We appear to be losing drummers left, right and centre. I don't know where they're all going, I don't know what's happening, but Dissension Rising were looking for a drummer a little while back. They still are, as far as I know. Harmony Disorder, been looking for a drummer for ages. And now we come from ashes. What is going on? So we need metal drummers. We need them in the Belfast area, we need them in Swindon, and we need them in Cheltenham. Come on guys, where are you? Now luckily We Come From Ashes are able to fill their commitments at the moment, which is good because they've got their EP launch on the 29th. Couldn't have come at a worse time, could it really? And on the subject of their EP launch, I now have a copy of said EP. Oh yes, we're going to get some of that. In fact, we're going to get some of it now. This is one of the tracks that you'll be able to rock to at the first gig at the new Two Bucks venue. That being the Cavern, the Angel Hotel, Marketplace, Colford. And hopefully I'll be doing tracks from all the bands involved in that next week. But even if it is just over 2 weeks away to the launch, I think we deserve one track from the mastered EP. Been waiting for it for so long. This is We Come From Ashes. It is from their brand new EP, Embers. This is called Out of Time.
Doesn't know what goes on down here. Suspect of songs be smeared all on the wall. Like the black sheep expecting you all. Patience, trust me, like wired, like this. Patience, trust me, our voices desist. My mind is broken, battered and bruised. You're next to life, get up. See your ass in the chair. You're out of time. My mind is broken, battered and bruised. You're next to life, get up. See your ass in the chair. You're out of time.
So there you have it, the first mastered track from the EP Embers. That's We Come From Ashes debut EP. Didn't I tell you it'd be worth the wait? Now, as well as losing drummers left, right and centre, we're also losing one of our best promotion tools. This is ridiculous as well. Behind the scenes, Gloucestershire, I've decided to call it a day. These guys have been supporting Toolbox for ages. They've been promoting the show, they've been promoting the gigs at the Lower George. And not just us, they've been promoting everybody. The whole Gloucestershire music scene is losing a fantastic promotional tool. I don't know what you guys will be doing when this is all fizzled out, but if it's anything to do with promotions and media, keep us informed. We'll support you as much as you supported us. Now, you'd have had to have been living under a stone in a cave in the arse end of nowhere to have not known about Waken and Bloodstock going on in the last couple of weeks. One band that knows all about both of those, due to coming a very, very respectable fourth in the Waken open air metal battle, as well as having somebody film their complete set from Bloodstock, were Metaprism. We love a bit of Metaprism here, and I don't even need to be able to see Vinny to know that a Stop That is in order. So let's have some Metaprism. This is called Against All. And there you have it. That is Metaprism. They got a very respectable 4th place in the Waken Open Air Metal Battle. And they always get a complete 10 out of 10 when they're on our show from us.
You're listening to 2 Bucks Radio with me, Michael Knowles.
And me, of course. And
Hi, this is Michael Schenker from Scorpions, UFO, MSG, and Temple of Rock.
he's always got to get in there somewhere, hasn't he?
You're listening to the best new rock music on the 2-Box Radio.
Still, he is a legend. Now, if you think back to a couple of episodes ago, I was telling you about Beneath the Divine's EP, which is due out this summer. Which, if we're lucky, could be a couple of days at the end of September. Anyway, they released a couple of taster tracks from it. So have a listen to this and tell me you don't want this EP already. This is called The Truth Will Rise.
under such perfect disguise that many do not recognize him for his methods. There is no crime he would not commit, no debauchery he would not set up, no plague he would not send, no heart he would not break, no life he would not take, no soul he would not destroy. He comes as a thief in the night. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Good God, that's heavier than the last sponge I made. I never told you how good I am at baking, have I? That's probably because I'm not. I really wasn't joking when I said one of my sponges would turn out as heavy as that track. That was Beneath the Divine with the Truth Will Rise, which has been accompanied by a true story. Right, now last week when I played tracks from the forthcoming gig from this weekend, and I said that's probably going to be my final gig at the Lower George, I was of course talking complete and utter rubbish. I had of course completely forgotten that after the debut Colford gig, I have another gig at the Lower George with some of my favourite bands. How could I forget that? That's my age, you know. I'm getting old. So like I said, next week I'm going to be running through the debut of The Cavern at the Angel Hotel in Colford. This week I'm going to be going through the bands that are in the gig after that at the Lower George. That'll be taking place on the 5th of September. Have you seen the posters for that? There's only 3 bands on there. We're still looking for another band to go there. And one of the bands that are on there have split up. So we'll only be getting 2 bands tonight. If anybody ever tells you that organising one of these gigs is easy, just ignore them. They're talking absolute rubbish. You would not believe the amount of work that Vinny has to put in behind the scenes to get these things to run as well as they do. And believe me, this will be a complete and utter success, as have been all the others. So the 2 bands that I'm going to be playing for you this week, from what may be, and who knows, it may actually be my last gig at the Lower George, at least for this year, are my good friends The Vigil, and a band that I've been waiting to see for absolute ages, The Chasing Dark. So, let's go with The Vigil. This is from their EP, Serpent's Kiss. Fantastic track called Contingency Plan. Oh yes, that's the Vigil. That's from their EP. Well, I say EP. There's 8 tracks on it, so it could be an album. To be honest, it's really hard to tell sometimes. It doesn't really matter what it is. As I said, it's got 8 tracks. It's called Serpent's Kiss, and that was a track called Contingency Plan. Then I've got to try and contain myself for these guys. This is the Chasing Dark. I've been playing them on the Heads Up show for quite a while now. They crossed over to 2 Bucks and they were instantly taken on board by Vinny. So, no matter what else you might say about the fella, you can't deny he's got fantastic taste in music. So this is the Chasing Dark. This is a track called When I Come Alive. yes, that's going to be one hell of a gig. The Vigil, the Chasing Dark. Doesn't matter who else, does it really? But you can bet your life that Vinny's going to find somebody of the same sort of calibre. And as soon as he tells me, I'll be telling you. That's exactly what it is. And right now on the Two Bucks Rock Show, it's guest presenter time. Got a cracking guest presenter for you this week. No, it's not me. You'll find out who it is in less than half a minute. It's time for our guest presenter with their track of the week. So please welcome this week's guest presenter with their current favourite unsigned song.
Hi Jasper, this is Apherium manager Mark calling from deepest darkest Yeovil. My favourite unsigned band right now is Syren City from Bristol, who Apherium met way back in 2012. They're a great bunch of guys whose live shows are always something to behold. Their most recent EP, Escape, is so worth a listen, and from that EP I'd really love it if you could play Our Disease, which I think is a perfect representation of their material. Okay, cheers Jasper, and thanks for the invite to be a guest presenter.
So there you go, this week's guest presenter, the awesome Mark Darby, Apherium manager. And in fact, Syren City, the band that he's introduced us to, are so good I've actually introduced them as one of my new to the playlist bands on the Heads Up show, just after listening to the track that he asked me to play for this show. Syren City are four lads from Bristol: Simon Roach, Adam Hopton, Ian Chedderton and Louis Catlett. And as Mark said, their EP Escape is out now, iTunes, Spotify, etc, etc. And if you want to pop across on Facebook and find them and like them, the name's spelt SYRENCITY. Okay, all that's left to be done now is to play the track that Mark's asked for. So just to say, thanks for listening and supporting Two Bucks. This is Mark's little gift to you. Syren City with a track called Our Disease.
Slow down, I'm a rolling stone. I fly out on the blind side, burning to the wind, never tired and a restless soul. Five times you bound, right down the phone. All tides capsize the ship, but I've apologized for the last time. All the ties that bind, I don't miss them. Cleverly hands round. Glass eyes with a soul, stars beautiful in the dark.
That is Syren City. Particularly awesome track there, called Our Disease. That's the track that Mark Darby chose as your little gift. The band that he thinks you should be checking out. And I have to say, I think you should be checking them out as well. They also let me have a little listen to the new Apherium stuff. It's not due out until the end of the year, but oh my Gordon Bennett, I can't wait to play some of that for you. But as I'm going to have to wait, I'm going to play an old track for you. This is one of the Apherium tracks that I had before Neoteric was released. And I have to say, I was quite disappointed when it didn't appear on the Neoteric EP. It's called The Legend. That was Apherium. It's a track called The Legend, a really old track of theirs. Old, but nonetheless fantastic. And I think they've probably paved the way now for some proper loud stuff. And not only did this next bunch of guys play Bloodstock, they'd also set to play the mighty Bitmageddon, which sold out in a ridiculous amount of time, to be honest. So if you didn't get a ticket for that, you'll have to listen to them here. They are Codex Alimentarius. This is from the hand of Apophis. It is Azimuth. mighty Codex Alimentarius. That's part 2 of the Hand of Apophis. It's called Azimuth. And if you think your neck hurts now, just wait till the end of this next track. I'm not taking any prisoners at all. This is Ascaris. You'll thank me for it one day. This is from their EP Initiation, Sins of the Flesh.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
So that was Ascaris, Sins of the Flesh. That's from their Initiation EP. Both of those bands, Ascaris and Codex Alimentarius, absolutely rammed the Lower George. There wasn't a dry thigh in the house for either show. Right, let me introduce you to this week's guest band. I'm pretty sure some of you already know them anyway, so this won't be a surprise to you. They're from Yorkshire, another female-fronted rock band. We love the female-fronted rock bands. These guys are called Murderpuss. Murderpuss Official when you go and find them on Facebook. And they are Sarah, Queen Murderpuss Sharp, on bass and vocals. Cy, T-Bone Trimble, and Peter, PTG Gillette. God knows where they get these nicknames from. On guitars. And Steve, Steve-O665, Kelsall on drums. And backing vocals. And samples. I do love a band with samples. So let me play a track. You can go and find them on Facebook and like their page. Share them round. Get everyone interested. This is a free to download track from their Facebook page. It's called Silence.
It was my time. Fuck you. It was my
So that's your guest band for this week. They are Murderpuss. So you can either be part of the Pussy Posse or the Murder Posse. Your choice. Well, that's brought us up to the end of the show. Left me no time again. You can almost sort of believe that I do this on purpose, just so I get to play some Pizzatramp. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting. See you all again next week. I'm going to leave you with this. This is the video that they've recorded. It's called Cracula. So until next week, when we do it all again.
Carry on, everybody. You've all done very well.
You can count on Dracula to rob your blind. Yeah, Dracula! He'll steal your heart and then he'll steal your mind. Yeah, Dracula! He'll suck you off for an eighth of crack. Yeah, Dracula! He'll steal the clothes off your fucking back. Yeah, Dracula! Yeah, Dracula! Yeah, Dracula! He just found out you bought a PS4. Yeah, Dracula! And when he comes, he don't knock the door. Yeah, Dracula! He'll smash the window, let himself right in. Yeah, Dracula! You can count on Dracula to steal everything.